Alright guys, welcome to the channel. This is LevelUpPoker and I'm Jacob. Today we're going to be just going through, this is one of the first videos on the channel, so don't mind any of the I guess incongruencies, but we're going to start off playing some micro stakes here on ClubGG. This is 3 tables of 10-20. You can play with me and you can play at these same tables in this club. The referral for my club and my referral ID will be in the description below. Basically, this is just going to be a play and explain for about half an hour. I'm going to try to get into some spots and talk through some reasoning here to see if I can help out some low stakes players. Here, multi-way, after I opened and got 2 calls, nothing to do but check. I mean, my hand is weak, but also starting a bluff 3 ways is probably ineffective. If these are thinking players now on the turn where I pick up the flush draw, then they should know that I'm checking an ace sometimes as well, multi-way. So now I'm going to go for a slightly larger bet sizing and basically... Ooh, river's a 10. Okay. It seems pretty likely to me that this player has an ace and is just basically looking for someone to bet into them. A lot of the times the strategy that you see here at low stakes is players use aggression against you, and they're not nits per se, but basically they're just looking for someone to bluff into them when they have it so that they don't have to think about all of the variables it takes to create proper bet sizing. So yeah, just a fold there to his bet. I mean, his action, check back to flop in position, isn't really, it's kind of just a strange line. Should be betting an ace a lot, I guess 3 ways, but like I said, these players just kind of try to trap. And when he calls on the turn on a really dry board, he doesn't have anything that I'm going to be able to make him fold by firing the river, so I think it's just a mistake to bet there. I elected to check it over to him, and we're going to give up with queen high. Sorry, trying to get into one last table here. Currently playing 2, waiting for blinds on a 3rd, and on the waiting list for 1. Don't mind the waiting time in between hands, I guess. That's why I'm trying to play 4 tables at once, because a lot of creators, especially creators that I follow, play kind of like zone poker, like on Bodog or Bovada or something, and that's a lot of action really quickly. But the problem is, for me in the US, this ClubGG is pretty much the best poker that I have access to, and especially the quickest, and ClubGG does not have zone, but I am going to multi-table and absolutely overstimulate my brain for you all to hopefully get some meaningful content here. Again, my goal is to provide some information. Okay, facing a cutoff open, a flat, and then a squeeze from the small blind. Nothing really to do here but fold. I can't cold call, and I definitely can't raise. Multi-way, I'm just going to check this queen. There's no reason to bet. I'm only getting called by a king, and I don't really want to go 3 streets just up against a king. But yeah, folding the 7s here. My hand is no good to 4-bet. And also something interesting is, right, when we look at this table, this player has 73% VPIP across 50 hands. Oh, that's unfortunate. I would flop the set. When players have such high VPIP, generally to me it signals, especially at these stakes, that they are just bad players. It's very difficult to be profitable playing a high amount of hands, and basically, these players in general, my observation is that they aren't 3-betting enough, and they certainly aren't 4-betting enough. Here, oh, somehow I'm against 1 player, and he has $3 behind. With 2 pair, I'm just going to not think too much and just put them all in. Expecting a call from a king. If he has me, he has me. He calls with 4th pair. That's interesting. So, one of the beauties of these stakes, although if these stakes frustrate a lot of people for reasons I'll get into, this is a bomb pot table, by the way, so every 10 hands we're playing a 4 big blind bomb pot, 7-handed, that makes 560. My hand's simply not good enough to continue here. Here with 9-10 suited in the big blind, I can call or squeeze, but because of this dead money here, I'm probably going, call or 3-bet, I'm probably going to 3-bet, try to get them to fold and isolate this player who has, I guess they just joined the table, so their VPIP's not super informative. This board's kind of even for our ranges. I wouldn't say anybody has an advantage here, but I'm just going to start with a C-bet and see if I can get him to fold some strange, and he does fold some strange king-high type holdings. I don't want him to be able to realize his equity with overcards against me, and also the range, or the board hits me well enough with the queen 10 there. Overall at these stakes, players are over-limping, over-calling against opens, over-calling against 3-bets, and not 4-betting enough. And so the adjustment that we need to make there is to, essentially, you need to choose hands to 3-bet with that you're comfortable going multi-ways post-flop with, or also just have a normal linear 3-betting range that is just strong. And if you're going to 3-bet something that isn't linearly strong, such as like a suited ace, like that, for instance, is a good hand. This is a little loose, but I'm going to open Jack 10 offsuit in the small blind here. I say it's loose because we have these two limpers. Normally, if these players had folded, which is how you usually consider a limp, this open would be super fine, blind versus blind, except I know that it's pretty likely that once these players limp, they're going to call. But fortunately, we flop top pair, and I'm just going to start off with a third pot C-bet. Basically just trying to deny equity. And you'll see that I have these little red notes next to players. So as I'm playing, I'm taking a lot of notes on players so I can maintain information about their player type and some certain actions that they take. Now I think this is just a check. And he snap bets. That's interesting. I don't know a lot about this player. Usually these aren't a bluff, but I'm going to pay him off just to gain in some information. And he has a set of threes. Okay, well, set of threes, very good. Oh, excuse me. Not sure why he played it like that, but I suppose it makes sense. So, as I said, going to make a note. Snap bet very quickly. 4, 3 fourths. Value sizing. Here with King 10 open, and against a 3-bet and a call, just an easy fold. If you're ever playing on ClubGG or in any other software and you have access to take notes on players, I would recommend it. It's extremely high, or it greatly increases your expected value. Oh, wow, look at this. It greatly increases your expected value because when you can, when you have easy access to recall what players' actions were in certain spots, basically they're not going to be able to beat you in that spot again, because you can kind of counter exploit, if that makes sense. So I'm kind of going through a lot here. I'm thinking about a lot of things, playing at 4 tables at once, and I'm also trying to think about what's important. So more or less at these stakes, basically the most profitable way to play is you want to maintain strong fundamental strategy. So like, I'm familiar with a lot of the basics of GTO, and I think it's important for all players to be. But these players, your opposition is at these tables is just going to deviate so heavily from GTO. Like, look at the VPIPs at this table, right? 64%, even with a small number of hands, like they just aren't getting this many good hands. Which means that fold King 10 off under the gun there. When it basically just means that if they're playing too many hands, you kind of don't want to. A lot of players think, oh, if my opponents are playing loose, then I can play loose as well and just outplay them. The problem is when you start playing loose and it ends up going multi-way, and everybody's range is so wide that it's just so hard to make a hand and it's so hard to win. And what ends up happening is you end up spewing. Going to defend 7-7 here. This guy's really deep, and I expect him to call a lot, meaning that when he's 300 big blinds deep and I'm 200, and I make a set, that's just a very strong position. But now we just have an easy check fold. There was no merit to, I think it would have been a 5-bet. I'm never just going to be 5-betting 7s in random positions. So now we just missed set mining against the dude who's 300 bigs deep and this dude who was over 100. So, but yeah, basically at these stakes, there's just a lot of mistakes that players are making, and when you pick up on them and document them, like kind of how I take notes on these guys, what you're going to see is that you basically, right, when all of these players are on bullshit, for lack of a better word, or lack of a better phrase, and they're just playing wide ranges, you know, overlimping, overcalling, um, not four betting enough. You just kind of get mixed up in weird spots, and sometimes it makes you bleed, especially when you don't hit anything and you're against a calling station, someone that you identified that simply won't fold to your normal betting. Here, when he checks back on the flop, he's kind of short stacked, so I think he's going to be pretty pressured to fold if he has air. Yeah, that's just nonsense for him to call with 25 bigs behind and then not defend it. I'm going to be opening King 4 suited in middle position, just because these guys behind me have large stacks. So even though it wouldn't be the ace high flush, I still have pretty decent implied odds. And it's just the type of hand. Ooh, this is interesting. So on a monotone board, I'm going to pretty much bet 100% of my range for 1/3 pot. And the reason you want to do that is because it perfectly basically, if you always betting 1/3 on a monotone board, okay, so his hand, oh, okay, so we're gonna, on this bomb pot hand, I'm gonna bet half pot. Now he checks. I'm pretty sure he basically just has a strong diamond, or maybe he has a 9 or something, an ace, and he's just afraid to value bet it. With a 4, I'm not gonna flick it in here. I'm just against something better than me too often, but I expect him to have a 9, like a random 9, or maybe the king of diamonds or an ace there. I'm pretty confident that I'm beat. Folding here, and then here. Oh, this is interesting. He called. So honestly, I think I'm just gonna check and give up. And ooh, we went on kicker. That was fortunate. That's a nice little pot. Sorry if I missed some details. Like I said, sometimes when I get more than one hand at a time, it's hard to give commentary to more than one hand at once. But what was I saying? My overarching thought here has basically been, if I had to give advice to players playing these stakes, what I would say is that even when you're frustrated by your opponents basically getting in there with bullshit, and then they get there against your good hand, or they suck out on you when they shouldn't be in the pot at all, or especially when they suck out when they shouldn't have been calling, the classical thought is, right, in the long run, those decisions are not profitable for them, and they're profitable for you. So over a large sample size of hands, you will be more profitable than that player. And that's true, but sometimes it's still very frustrating to lose your stack because, ooh, I flop top 2 pair in this bomb pot. It's very frustrating because you get yourself in a good spot. Just betting big here to isolate. I mean, basically there's no bluffing in a bomb pot because there's no ranges. And I just know that these weak players will kind of maybe call me too light, and even if they're not calling light, I'm probably ahead, right? I'm ahead of like a lot of hands that could have here, like ace 9, ace 8. You could have draws here, 6, 7. These players love to call with draws, and I'm a pretty strong favorite. And also the other option is we take it down, deny equity to the whole table, and just win a decent bomb pot. So a lot. So that was like 25. Well, yeah, like 25 bigs there. That was. That's a great way to do it. Basically, a lot of players that play these stakes get frustrated when their good hands get sucked out by bad players playing bad hands. And what I have to say to that is, I was frustrated by that too. And something I noticed is, well, if I'm not playing against the same player who's making bad decisions in the long run, I'm never profitable against that player in the long run. But like basically, I won't be able to get in enough hands with them to get my money back from that player specifically. And maybe some other people have thought of that as well. And although that's the case, overall, if you're a winning player and you have a winning strategy, it doesn't matter how many people call you with bullshit and get there. Over a large sample size, the mathematics of the situation is simply that you will make money and you will be profitable. Let's see. This table is pretty deep, so I'm going to make the arguably bad play and limp pocket 3s here. And honestly, with these implied odds, with these stacks, I don't expect basically a lot of 3-bets. When I know my competition's not 3-betting very much, I can limp a little bit more, and obviously my hand's too weak to 3-bet. Like, I'm not just going to 3-bet 3s with guys behind. And here, just giving up, I'm not really drawing to anything. We're looking down at aces in the small blind. That's pretty good. I'm going to 3-bet a bit bigger. You generally, basically, the optimal 3-bet sizing and out of the blinds is a bit larger than this, but I basically just don't, and the difference that it makes is not worth having to set up custom bet sizing. So now I'm going to c-bet a third on a board that's pretty good for my range. I could also c-bet a half pot, but, both are fine. On the heart turn, without the ace of hearts, I don't love it, but I'm expecting him to just have a king or queen pretty often. So we're going to bet small again, and if he raises us, which he might do, because he might think that 1/3 is weakness. Yeah, he raises. I would expect him to raise. Ooh, half pot sizing is a weakness. I would expect him to raise his hearts, his flushes here. I generally don't think that this player, looking at his VPIP, it's kind of a bad spot because if I call this, the pot will be basically I'm gonna have to call a river jam, and I kind of just don't want to do that. Maybe basically this might look insane, but these players, yeah. So he had the nut straight. These players' raising ranges kind of are never bluffs. Bluffs are hard to find at these stakes. I think raising for him there is a punt. I think he has an easy. Well, I mean, he should be raising sometimes if he's really concerned about runner hearts. What you have, I'm gonna say worse than you. Basically, players at these stakes, the other big exploit if you're trying to play these stakes and win at these stakes is that they're not bluffing enough in general. So, but that's also player dependent. So like you kind of have to make observations. So overall, I'd say these players aren't bluffing enough, but you can certainly find players that are bluffing too much and that are essentially just punting, and you just want to be aware of that. I have no idea what happened here. It looks like one guy limped, everybody else folded, and now I'm in the. Okay, this is insane. Just gonna fold here to this. This is just nonsense, and I'm just not gonna go against someone who's leading out. Whatever. This is something that often annoys me, which is these players just limp, and then I have to just sit here and play through a hand. Oh, this is an interesting board. Okay, this guy bets pot. This is very strange. I don't think I have any fold equity against him, so I think a call is fine with the nut flush draw. I don't think he has a boat very often, so I think my spade draw is very much alive. And this guy rips it. Okay. I think he just has an ace. I'll have to check the math. Oh wow, this guy did fold. That's surprising. 8 to win 30. So I need 8 out of 8 to win 30. I'm getting like, yeah, I'm definitely getting 2 to 1. So I'm just gonna flick it in with the flush draw and gamble. And if we lose, we lose. Oh, okay. So sure, we'll ask to run it twice. I need help here, but I was getting the right price, so gets there, and we chop, so that's fine. Well, I guess I was not getting the right price because I guess he had a spade and also boat outs, but with the flush draw there, he can be on a worse flush draw sometimes as well. Basically, just a lot of weird stuff happens, and you have to make a lot of close decisions, and that was one of them. So, like, technically, I wasn't quite getting the. Was I getting the 3 to 1 I needed? I was getting slightly less than 3 to 1. I would need $24 in the pot basically to call 8 with a flush draw and have it be profitable, but I had 22 in the pot. So like, if you understand the pot odds there, I ended up with 25% equity. I was assuming I had around 35, but that was incorrect due to just the properties of his hand. But overall, I'm just kind of talking at this point because we chopped and it was like fine. Like I have the nut flush draw. He can, if he doesn't have an ace there like 100% of the time, I'd say an ace or pocket fives. Those are the only hands that like, are kind of bad for him to have there. And he can basically, these players a lot of the time are just on bullshit. And in position, I'm expecting this player to fold. They have just like I'm hoping they fold, and then I'm basically just going to be getting to play in position. Ace king here with a limper. I'm just going to size up my open 4x. I'm really hoping I get 3-bet on this board because I'm not looking to go 4 ways in middle position with ace king. Oh, this is a strange flop. Interesting. I don't really like this spot, but I do have to 4-bet out of position. Just c-betting a third here. It's probably a punt because I don't have anything in a multi-way, but okay, yeah, whatever. So now I'm just gonna shut down. And I took that pot down with a 4-bet, so oh, now he bets. That's strange. He's representing a queen, and I'm just not gonna go play for stacks with him with a 10 there. Especially because I have to pay attention to this hand. Oh, this hand I'm gonna fold, but now I have kings on this board. Basically, if I call his $6 or $7 into 9, and 3/4 is usually a strong size for these players as well. A little bit player dependent, but that's been kind of a general observation. He's just gonna rip it on the river, and then I have to think, can I really bluff catch with king 10 here? I don't really want to, because ooh, okay, so against open flats 3-bet, this is just gonna be a standard fold. I just don't really want to have to call a jam there because I think multi-way he would check a queen on the flop just so that like I said, a lot of these players get trappy with their nutted or semi-nutted hands. I'm hoping this guy just has a jack and we get to stack him. There's not really. This sucks because he has pot behind. I don't know. I'm just gonna jam. I don't think there's anything else to do. If I bet a third, the SPR is miserable for the river, and he folds. I don't think, basically, I don't think I'm missing value by jamming because if he has a jack, he just has to call. If he has a flush draw, I expect him to call, even though he's not getting the right odds. And if he folds, he probably didn't even have a hand that, if he's a thinking player, right, and I bet like a third there for value to keep him in, and then he calls, and the pot is 16, and he has 7 behind. Like then what? You know, he shouldn't call because that SPR is just insane for him, and he's committed so much of his stack to the pot just to fold river, and he's probably not going to do that. So basically, the exploit that I was taking there is if he has a jack, he's going to call pot, even though he should be thinking about my range and that. Realistically, I'm representing a hand better than a jack there when I'm just putting him all in on the turn like that. But like I said, a jack against a player like this is just, a jack's always going to call me, so it's fine to bet there. Let's see. Waiting for something interesting to happen. Bomb pot. I flop up and down straight draw, but the up's probably not very good because that puts 4, 5, 6, 7 on the board, and this is a bomb pot, so. But we'll see. Not looking to pay any amount of money to draw to this, but if it checks through and I bink, then we'll see. This is really going to check through twice. Oh, we have kings again on this board. That's wonderful. And the river's a 4, so I'm just going to hit the fold button. Paying attention to this hand now. Okay, against an open, against a dude who's deep stack, I'm going to... Okay, so this hand we're 3-betting with kings in the small blind. Sorry, going back to this hand, the exploit I'm making is that, I mean, first of all, it's not much of an exploit because it's just fine to call with 6s in position there. And second of all, is this donk? No, this isn't a donk that I opened. So against this action, I'm just going to fold a multi-way. Someone probably just has an 8. These guys aren't bluffing enough. But I do kind of want to see what goes on. And this guy rips it on me. He probably has a better hand than me, but I'm just going to call him. I'm too high in my range. He does not have a better hand than me. That's interesting. That was an example of what I said earlier about how even though it's annoying when bad players play bad hands and get there, they eventually just decide to punt their stack to you for no reason. And that's what we enjoy here at Small Stakes, is hands like that where a player just decides to rip it and give you very good odds to call with no hand and no outs to improve. Wonderful, we'll take it. So now, doing pretty well across these tables. Jack 10 suited. This is going to be an open. I really like this. This limping's kind of insufferable because they're signaling I'm going to play the pot, but I'm too stupid to understand how opening works. Or maybe he's trying to jam. He's trying to set up for a... Nope, he's just punting. This puts me in a bad spot because he has like a 2-to-1 SP. Yeah, so now this is just an easy fold. Even if he's bluffing, it's like I have no fold equity against him. So his bluffs consist of hands that are calling, and also he's probably just ahead. Like I don't. Oh, this is interesting. Okay, so now it checks through, and no one probably has an ace, so I'm just gonna bet small. Suited king, just gonna open in the cutoff. Not much thought to it. Jack 10 suited. I'm in too early of a position to play that hand. That's so strange that he's just flatting for a third of his stack. I guess I'm gonna just flick it in here with good pot odds and hope to make a hand, and we don't, so probably just gonna, yeah, just losing this hand now. This guy probably just has an overpair. We don't get to see, which is unfortunate. It's just absurd to me that this is the kind of stuff you run into at low stakes, right? This player's just called for a third of his stack. A 3-bet for a third of his stack just to fold when he misses flop. Just a punt from him, and basically these tables are profitable when you combine basic fundamental understanding of strategy combined with noticing the different player types and what they're prone to do, and then basically eventually they just will punt you a double up. Interesting. Queen Jack suited. I'm gonna make a tight fold here. I mean, he's pretty deep stacked, but well, I don't know. Maybe that's too tight. Well, I guess I'll see it and probably end up folding the flop. And now we're gonna get stacked if he has an overpair, which is what he's repping as a player with a high VPIP who's not 3-betting enough. But he could have no sense in raising here. I don't really need a ton of protection because there's only 2 overcards to me that don't improve my hand, ace and queen. Oh, interesting. I'm just gonna fast play this. I could block bet here, but my hand's too strong. I'm probably just gonna check call. He checks, and he had ace king and he missed, so I don't think he was calling me anyway. So that was fortunate. But yeah, basically, right, their 3-betting range when it's a bad player with a high VPIP. He has ace 9 and we win, right? We win, yeah, great. Basically, when it's a player with a high VPIP that 3-bets you, you should be pretty concerned unless your hand is nutted, because their 3-betting range consists of 9s and honestly 9s, 10s, and jacks. They like flat a lot because they're scared of 3-betting them with and then missing the flop and the flop being overcards. So it's like a lot of the times the 3-betting range for a bad player is like 10s plus and ace king and ace king suited. Here 3 ways. This is really unfortunate, but I'm gonna stab once on the flop just to c-bet, and fortunately we get it through. But if I got a call there, I'm just kind of giving up on such a dry board because they pretty much only ever have an ace. Sorry, I lost my train of thought there. Yeah, basically, when players like this are 3-betting you and 4-betting you, be very concerned because they're massively under 3-betting and under 4-betting, and most of the time they just prefer to. I could have sized to 90 cents there. They just prefer to, like, with their semi-weak hands that are still, up in the range, like 9s or 10s. Like, those are very strong hands, right? But these players are thinking, oh, I don't want to 3-bet and then have the flop have. This guy decides to donk bet me. That's a little concerning. Usually they only donk bet with the flush. Now he checks the turn. Okay, there's no sense in betting. I'm not getting called by a worse hand. So I might have to bluff catch here. Okay, I think he just missed. Nope, he beats me on kicker. Interesting. So this player shuts down when he loses top pair. So basically the ace came on the turn and he was too scared to value bet. This guy's 100 bigs. I just am pretty sure I'm going to get paid if I somehow manage to hit my 6. But now that he's betting big, that's interesting. That's a very strange size for a c-bet. But honestly, I'm just going to give it up because even though it's wrong to c-bet that big when you have it, these players aren't thinking about that, and they're just thinking I can make more money even when it's a punt. So I'm just going to get out of there and not think about, calling 3 streets with an underpair. I was basically just set mining. What was that configuration? It was button to small blind, so also he's like 3-betting me slightly lighter in the small blinds because he doesn't want to play out of position. So it's fine there to like over defend a tiny bit, which is kind of what that was. But I also knew I'm making a stack if I hit the 6. So okay, this is probably going to be the last hand. Looking to leave this table, and I'll play this hand. Just going to bet a third. We're approaching half an hour, and that's pretty much the length I want to keep these videos. I'm in college, so I got things to do, but poker's obviously very important to me, so that's why we're here. He calls and then checks. I think with this, I can defend my c-bet check-back range a little bit with this type of hand. It's an ace with a bad kicker, so it's still quite a strong hand, but I don't want to just go piling money in, even though he's not super deep, because a lot of the times I'm just going to, for 1/3, I'm just not thinking about it too much. I'm just going to call, and he has ace-king, and he's good. So basically that's why I didn't bet the turn, because then his whole stack would have gone in by the river, and I would lose more money. So, yeah, that's about it. I hope you all have enjoyed this this first video. Level Up Poker is going to be producing a lot more content, and more, including Play and Explains and like this, and also shorts. I hope you found this valuable. And I like to think that I have a lot of knowledge about what these players are doing at low stakes. So if you are a low stakes to micro stakes player like me, and you would like to level up your poker game, please consider giving the channel a follow, like, and subscribe. Yeah, look out for my other content. And besides that, if you want to play at these tables with these same fish that I'm making money against, feel free to join my club. The club ID and my referral ID will be in the description. Lots of awesome benefits for using the referral ID, such as weekly free roll tournaments, weekly tournaments with guaranteed prize pools, and also a lot of deposits. We have a 20% deposit match for your first deposit, and then weekly 10% deposit matches. So lots of great benefits. Yeah, thank you for watching. I'll see you next time. Level Up Poker.